What's up guys, this is Lindsay and I'm Alex, and today we're going over some of the best places to see in Peru. We have a lot of them. We spent about 6 or 7 months in Peru. We saw a decent amount of things. We didn't see everything, but we found some hidden gems among other places that you probably know.
So most of the things on this list we have actually seen and loved them, and then there's other ones we didn't get to that we heard were incredible, so we added them to this list as well. Alright, let's get started. The first one is visit a rainbow mountain. So there are at least 3 well-known rainbow mountains in Peru right now. The main one is Vinicunca, and then there's Palcoyo, and there's a third one they just discovered. But make sure you see one of these. They are beautiful. We went to Vinicunca.
So Vinicunca is probably the one that you have all heard about. It's been pretty famous for the last 5 years since it was discovered, and it looks like it has 7 colors, but it actually only has 3.
So it's a mountain with tons of colors. The name says it all, but it's gorgeous. Make sure when you visit the Rainbow Mountains that you are well acclimated to the altitude. Otherwise, you may not feel the greatest.
Alright, the next one is the MORAY salt mines.
That's a good one.
This was one of our favorite places. Really beautiful. You'll never see a place quite like this. So there are thousands of salt pans. You'll see that they look like little bathtubs filled with like a white, murky water. Sometimes there are even different colors, like a pink-ish color. And this is where you'll get the famous MORAY salt. Sometimes the salt is pink, sometimes it's a little more white, but it's famous salt and it has numerous health benefits, but that's just the salt. We mostly came there for the view.
So depending on the time of the year, the salt pans will be different colors. Sometimes it'll be more pink like Alex said, but during certain months it's more of a white color. The interesting thing about this place is that a lot of the salt pans are actually owned by families. So it's not just one establishment. They mine their own salt and they sell it. So if you want some amazing pictures, amazing views, definitely check out MORAY salt mines and you'll love it. And that leads us to MORAY ruins. A lot of people do the salt mines and the MORAY ruins in the same day. So the MORAY ruins are these circular terraces, these ruins, and it's amazing.
Inca terraces.
Yes. Alex knows a lot more about the history. I have a bad memory, but...
Whoa, don't put that pressure on me. So you'll see these circular amphitheater-like terraces that's actually much bigger in person and just amazing. It's hard to believe that the Inca made these. But what's cool about them is it was kind of like an Inca agricultural experiment, or so they think. So there is a 15-degree difference between the top and the bottom of these terraces, which meant that they could cultivate different crops and plants at different levels to varying degrees so that they could get different kinds of foods out of them. Pretty cool, because that must have been 500 years ago.
So you're gonna see ruins and terraces all over Peru, but these are very unique because, like I said, they're circular. So we didn't see any other terraces like that.
So the next one is HUACACHINA Bridge. That is a Quechua word. HUACACHINA Bridge is an Inca bridge. It's a rope bridge, and it's kind of what seems like in the middle of nowhere. And this is the only Inca rope bridge that's still standing today, because the town around it, or multiple towns and community members around the area, every year they go in and they continue to keep the tradition going.
So they maintain the bridge using the same technique they used a long time ago, just with this grass. So when they weave the grass together, it actually becomes very strong, and that's what they use to keep this bridge going.
So just pretty cool, because there is no place like this. It's one of a kind, and if you get the chance, you should see this when you get to Peru.
Next is HUACACHINA. This is a desert oasis. There are these sand dunes, and then in the middle of the sand dunes, there's this little town. And it's really fun because you can take these dune buggies through the sand dunes. And it's pretty much like a roller coaster ride. These guys go super fast up and down the hills. And you get to do some sandboarding. So you go on this board that looks like a snowboard and you go down these sand dunes. And you go pretty fast.
So this place is pretty unique. Just looking at it, look at this drone shot. You just have a desert of dunes for miles and miles, and then this little town in the middle of nowhere that surrounds a tiny little lake. And so it looks like a mirage that you just came upon in the desert.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Make sure if you go that you stay for sunset and run down the sand dune at the end. That's what we did. Pretty fun.
Okay, the next one is SKYLODGE Adventure Suites. So this is a unique hotel that is put on the side of a cliff. These pods that are on the side of a mountain. So what you do is you climb to get to these. So you get a little bit of rock climbing in there. You get to sleep in these overnight, and you're just hanging on the side of a cliff. There are 4 pods up there, so usually you'll go up with other people, and you get to have dinner in this little restaurant, which is also a pod that's just hanging on the side of a cliff. So it might be one of the only times that you get the chance to say you stayed in a hotel that's actually hanging.
And then you can zip line down the next morning to get to the bottom of the cliff. So if you like adventure, if you like unique experiences, this would definitely be for you. It is in the town of OLLANTAYTAMBO.
And really quick, we just wanted to say that any of these things that you're seeing right here, we have videos about all of these. So if you go to our channel, go to the Peru videos, you can find the full version of, for example, SKYLODGE, the whole experience, or MORAY ruins, or any of these places. We have a ton of videos from Peru, so check out the playlist after this. All right, so the next one is PARACAS. PARACAS is a national reserve, so kind of like a national park. Some say that it's like the Galapagos Islands, but it's a budget-friendly alternative. So you can see wildlife. If you take the tour, you'll go around in a boat, you'll take a bus, and you'll see some beaches. You'll see sea lions, penguins possibly, all types of bird life.
And Paracas is a coastal little beach town. You'll be situated with amazing food and great views of the ocean.
All right, the next one is CUSCO. Cusco is just a city, I'm sure you've heard of it, but we grew to love Cusco. It's one of the most beautiful cities in the world. We spent a lot of time there, and there's a lot to do just around Cusco. Cusco is kind of the center of the Sacred Valley where some of our favorite experiences were. So that whole area of Peru, we suggest you spend some time because there's so much to do there. But Cusco as a city, beautiful, surrounded by mountains.
The architecture is gorgeous.
Inca walls.
So a lot of these things that we are mentioning in this video are day trips from Cusco, or at least closer to Cusco. So definitely go there. There's a lot of great restaurants. Like Alex said, a lot of Inca walls, original Inca walls. There are some Incan sites.
It's a beautiful city to just walk around because it's just so good looking. Just the cobblestone streets, the small alleyways, Inca walls everywhere. It's a very old city, extremely old, and that's why we put on this list.
Another great place you're going to want to check out is AUSANGATE. So it is this huge glacier. There's a lot of glacial lakes around there and hot springs. A lot of people do around a 5-day trek through AUSANGATE. We personally did not get to go to AUSANGATE, but that was one of the top things on our list. We just didn't make it, but it is beautiful.
Okay, the next one is Machu Picchu. Of course, you've heard about this one. It's one of the 7 wonders of the world. Unfortunately, we weren't able to go. We were in Peru during COVID, and it was closed the whole time that we were there. So we didn't get to go, but we had to put it on this list. It should be number 1 on any list, probably. And you know the rest.
Another great place you're going to want to check out is KINSA COCHA Lakes. This is a great day trip from PICCHU. So KINSA COCHA has a few different lakes, and you're going to be able to see a ton of alpaca, llamas, these lakes that are kind of situated up in the mountain, and there's really not a lot of people there.
At least when we went, there were not any people. It was just us on this little trek around looking for these lakes. One of these lakes is a bright blue, like turquoise, and it's kind of hidden in the back. So you go up a mountain and it's just a mountain lake that's just hidden back there. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and I think if we could do it again, what we would have done is brought like a picnic or something, because it's not the easiest hike up there and not a lot of people are able to make it up. So if you do spend a little bit of time there, enjoy the scenery since you did all the work to get up there. We thought it was gorgeous.
So if you stay in PICCHU, this is definitely one of the top things to do.
Another great day trip that you can take from PICCHU are the LARES hot springs. Again, something we didn't get a chance to do, but we heard a lot of amazing things. Who doesn't love hot springs with amazing views? You can take a collectivo to get there, or I believe there's a way you can actually hike there as well. So do some research, figure out what works best for you, but sounds amazing.
The next one is APUKUNAQ TIANAN. So these are sculptures that are cut out of a mountainside just outside of Cusco. It might even still be within Cusco, but you have to take a taxi or go on a hike for a little while to get outside of the city to get to these. And so these are modern sculptures. A lot of the things in Cusco are very old. A lot of the sites are Inca sites or pre-Inca that you're gonna see. This is something that is modern day, and the artist is actually currently still working on them. But they're amazing to see up close. We actually got to meet the artist while we were there because we were the only ones there and he came to work, and so we talked to him a little bit about it.
And he showed us how he actually like hand carves and chisels out the stone to make these figures. So a lot of the figures are animals. They're huge and amazing.
Okay, so the next one is the 12-angled stone. This one is also in Cusco, but actually in the center of the historic district pretty much, so it's easy to find.
It's by Asunta, which is our favorite souvenir shop there.
Another we should put on the list. But the 12-angled stone is exactly that. There are Inca walls all over the city of Cusco, and they're amazing to look at. But this particular stone is famous because it has 12 angles to it.
And what's amazing about the 12-angled stone is somehow, mysteriously, the Inca made it so that all the stones fit on all those angles where you can't even fit a piece of paper in between them. They fit together like a puzzle perfectly. And it's amazing because the Inca, we don't know how they did that. They didn't have machinery, and it remains a mystery. So definitely check that out. That leads us to the next one in Cusco, SACSAYHUAMAN. Basically, this is an Incan fortress, and it's full of Inca stones that fit together just like, kind of like the 12-angled stone. Also, it provides a great view of Cusco, the city. It's gorgeous.
So that one pretty much is in Cusco, so if you're in the historic district, you can just walk right up to SACSAYHUAMAN and you have a huge site there that you can walk around. So that's awesome. It's one of the most accessible sites that you can see when you're in Cusco. Okay, next is OLLANTAYTAMBO. So OLLANTAYTAMBO is a town in the Sacred Valley, and it actually became pretty much our favorite place in Peru. It's a beautiful town, a small town that's just surrounded by these ruins, these Inca ruins and sites. You can see them from the center everywhere around you, and you can hike up to them, and you can see a lot from OLLANTAYTAMBO.
So we think this town in general is actually a hidden gem. A lot of people use this town as a way to just get to Machu Picchu, but actually we would recommend spending a good chunk of time there. It's a cute little town, and there's actually a lot of sights to see, and we fell in love with it. And it's very underrated, so you actually might not have a ton of people at these different sites near there. Lots of hiking, great views.
And while we're talking about that, I wanted to separate this one, and this one is Sun Gate. So Sun Gate is an Inca ruin that is kind of near OLLANTAYTAMBO, but it takes a while to get there. We actually took some horses up there, and it took 6 hours round trip to get there. So it's not easily accessible, which is part of the appeal. When you get up there, there probably won't be anybody else, or at least many people up there. And where the Inca put this, it's just like a doorway these days. That's what it looks like. A doorway at the top of a mountain with a huge glacier behind it, and you're just surrounded by mountains and nature. It is an epic place. You feel the energy when
Yeah.
you're there, and that's probably why they placed this doorway there.
So the views are one of the main appeals, but the hike itself is actually pretty nice as well. You are going to get to see some alpaca, some Incan tombs. On the way there, you're also going to see the quarries. Now, this is going to be a pretty difficult hike. It might not be for everyone. If you do this hike, we'd recommend you leave pretty early. So now we're going to list a few of the places that we didn't get to, but we would recommend because we've heard amazing things. So first one is going to be IQUITOS. Any kind of Amazon jungle. It's going to be gorgeous. You're going to get to see animals, and it'll be an interesting experience.
If you want to see the Amazon from the Peru perspective, then this is one of the places you can go. And we heard so much about Iquitos. It was on our list. Unfortunately, we couldn't go due to COVID because it was very bad there at the time. But that is a place that you will want to go.
Next is HUMANTAY Lake. This is a gorgeous lake, a very pretty blue color surrounded by mountains. You're not going to want to miss it.
The next one was one of the big ones on my list, and that is Lake Titicaca. So Lake Titicaca is kind of on the border with Bolivia, so it's way down there. And you can get a lot of cultural experiences here. There are people that live here that are kind of untouched in a way. They live in their own way, traditional. They don't really have a lot of modern technology, people coming in. Of course, more and more tourists have been going around the area. It's a very interesting way to see how people could live around those lakes.
Another area we didn't get to that we wish we could have is the NAZCA lines. So the NAZCA lines kind of remain a mystery. They're one of the highlights of Peru, and the best way to see them is from a plane up above. So that was one of the main reasons we didn't get to do it, was the cost associated with the plane, but we heard it's worth it.
The next one is Arequipa. It is a beautiful white colonial city, and it's actually a very important city in Peru. We didn't know much about it until we actually arrived in Peru. So it's somewhere that you should see, but make sure you do your research because there's a lot to this place.
So going along with Arequipa, don't miss COLCA Canyon. We've heard this is supposed to be incredible, and it's right next to Arequipa.
So those are just some of our favorite places and places that we think that you should see in Peru, but we know that there are a lot more. So if you know of more that we missed, make sure to leave them in comments down below so that we can talk about them next time, so that we can see them next time that we're in Peru and film videos about them for you.
Thanks for watching. We hope you found this video helpful. If you did like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this.
And we will see you in the next video.